Heidi ho, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, it's dark 30, about 50 degrees. We're working on a 2014 Dodge Charger Clunk. It's been my experience that it's almost always the sway bar bushings or the sway bar end links. However, after replacing those on a video and showing you that procedure, I still have the Clunk in this car, even though the bushings look pretty bad. So I want to show you what we got going. So the first thing I did, I want to make sure all these are tight, and the small nuts were a little bit loose. The center one, I put my impact on there and it didn't move. The Clunk seems to be coming from the right and sometimes the left. So what we did, I took the left strut out, and after contacting my Dodge contact peoples at the Dodge house, they said the strut mount, upper strut mount, has a tendency to go bad. So I got my spring compressor out and got the tension off this spring and pulled this rubber assembly apart from the rest of the unit, and yeah, it wasn't bad. There was no breaks in the rubber, no cracks, no looseness. I imagine there's a metal plate in there that's vulcanized in the rubber. So yeah, that wasn't bad. So being that I had this already off, I decided to see what else I could see. When I first took this off, I saw a little black mark over there on this inner bushing on the lower control arm, and I started moving this piece around because it's disconnected now with the and you can see how much slack and slop is in there. So that's got to be my noise. I ordered both of them. I got some Moogs. Now that one's not very tight either, is it? That's also moving more than I think it should. Dang, just noticed that now. That might be another problem I don't know about. So yeah, we got some loose suspension parts. So we're gonna order some parts and see what happens. Now that lateral arm is like a strut, tension strut. Now I've done that on prior vehicle, Dodge Charger. I think it was on my 2010. And yeah, that could be bad too. I know they mount these things in Swiss cheese. The bushings are Swiss cheese, so they have to move somewhat because they have a double ball joint here, and this whole thing pivots around, so they do have to move somewhat. I just don't know which one's bad. It seems like this one's got more of a mark and more of a slop and more of a gap. So we're gonna change this one out soon, and it's on order. Of course, nobody has a Moog in stock close by, so I ordered from Amazon. So we shall continue with this, and I'll let you know the result. I'm not sweating, you're sweating. Fort Texas, a new day. We got light rain. It didn't amount to anything other than high humidity, upper 70s. I've got a fan in December. What's up with that? But anyway, getting back over here, I finally got this thing loose, and yeah, it's got a play in it too. So we're going to change out both of these things, and hopefully my Clunk goes away. I'm on the right front, and that's pretty much where potholes exist, primarily curbs. Even though this was a police car, it wasn't a cruiser or patrol, but Anyway, it is 2014. It is 8 going on 9 years and 73,000 miles. Salt-free environment in South Carolina, but we'll continue to work on this and put all these pieces back together. Rather than beat on, I was able to use a separator. That is a tool, which is actually a pooler, which is actually currently lost. But here's this bigger one of the two. Now this one, since I'm not reusing it, I just beat on it with a sledge, get it out, because you can't get a tool in there. Now my ball joint tested good, but it isn't tight as tight as it would be new. But again, that's another issue. I've replaced the lower ball joints before in these cars, and you got to use your press kit from Harbor Freighter equivalent, and it's going to take some work to get that out of there. I'm not sure that's really that bad, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep this car as well. So we'll continue to work and keep you updated. So anyway, here you go. I don't know if the camera was lighting that up enough to see. Now this is supposed to move internally because it catty corners when the car, because it has two lower control arms. One's forward at like a 45 degree and one's perpendicular at 90 degrees to the body. This has to pivot somewhat, so it's got a rubberized issue in there that looks a little chewed up to me. So I'm going to change this out because I got this much off. Like I said on the previous vid, previous part of this vid, this here strut's just fine. So the only thing we'll have left on this is a lower ball joint and an upper ball joint, which is part of the control arm, but it's not real tight necessarily, but it's in my experience that upper ball joints don't usually fail before the bottoms, as the bottoms get all the beating from the road. So unfortunately, you've got to remove the sway bar bolts and pivot it down just enough to get your socket in there for that long A bolt. It's got two heavy washers on either end, and on that forward control arm had two heavy washers on either end outside the sheet metal as well. So getting closer to assembly. Just got to get this arm off and make sure the new one looks like it, and here we go. So here we got the side-by-side comparison. You can see some little rubber gaps in there on the old one. This is a Moog. I go with Moog because I figured it's a quality part. There's some cheaper ones in there on there, but I don't know how good they're gonna last. And in case I don't want to do this twice. And if I keep the car, then I'm good to go. If I don't keep the car, the next person will have nice tight control arms on the right front. All right, I'm not dirty, you're dirty. Yeah, this has been interesting. It was a Chinese puzzle. So when you put all this stuff back together, the last thing to go in is this upper control arm ball joint. You want to leave that loose because you got to wiggle and get this stuff in place. These two, I don't have any light. Hang on a second here. These two have to be in place. I didn't tighten anything until everything was in place, and then trying to get this in place was another fun deal. Getting that bolt started, getting that indexed. I originally had it upside down. I'm like, why doesn't this go together? Oh, dude. So anyway, I just finished tightening everything, except except these 3 little nuts on top. I gotta tighten those with a wrench, and should be good to go. I don't know, man, that looks a little crooked. That's probably not good. I'll try to center that. But yeah, plan on some time for that. Also had to undo some plastic push rivets to get my hand in there to put a wrench on both sides of that one. That bolt on the inner control arm bushing has a hex. I didn't even see it because I did it from up here, but you gotta take the sway bar bracket off, pivot the sway bar bushing out of the way, and it's a hex. And I used a hex socket, and it was a 12 millimeter hex. And I'm using 1/2-inch drive on my stuff. And anyway, just need to center this a little better up there, and we should be good to go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if this helped you in any way. Knowledge or do-it-yourselfers, or at any rate. And have a good and prosperous 2023. And thanks for watching. Please comment, share, and subscribe, and like if you wish. Adios. And God bless.